Hi team, and welcome back to the Radical Rundown. My name is Bryan, core design engineer with Brunswick Bowling, and we have a brand new Pro Performance core in the Radical lineup. It is the Torpedo core inside of the beautiful Torpedo Direct Hit and the Torpedo. This strong asymmetric core is found in a lineage of cores that dates all the way back to the Trailblazer. It morphed into the Outer Limits core, the Hitter core, before finally arriving here at this Torpedo. Although they all form a lineage of cores and have very similar design language, Steve Freshour, the core design engineer for Radical Bowling, has been using his predictive analysis software to manipulate the design features of each one of these cores to give them different unique motions that fit into the Radical lineup. Starting here with the Outer Limits core, we had more of a bulb-shaped body and a really large boat. That lended itself to being a long and arcing back-end motion for an asymmetrical ball with more moderate intermediate differential. From there we expanded to this hitter core, which had this wider nose for a wider range of drilling angle options. It had an even larger boat, and it had a more mid-lane motion with a smoother yet more continuous motion off the breakpoint compared to this Outer Limits. And finally we've arrived at this Torpedo core. This is the strongest asymmetrical core of the bunch. It has a huge nose reminiscent of the Katana series that allows you to blow up the total diff and intermediate diff after drilling if you so choose. It gives you a wider range of drilling options, and it has more asymmetry built into it for a shorter hook window, which means a more abrupt change of direction at the back of the lane than either of these other two cores. Of course, all three of these cores share very similar radical design characteristics. They all have this top knob, which results in maintaining differential numbers after drilling, because when you drill your fingers into it in either a pin up or pin down layout, you're going to miss that top knob. It maintains the height after drilling, which means it's going to maintain the differential. All three of these cores have a front nose. They act as moment arms, and although they're all different shapes, they have the same intended purpose. They allow you to pick a layout that puts your thumb right through that nose to boost the numbers after drilling. This brand new Torpedo core has the largest nose. It sticks out closest to the shell, which means you hit it the most readily. When you hit it, you change it by removing mass out of it. This narrows up the core and allows you to have more intermediate differential after drilling. As an example, this Torpedo core starts with a medium RG of 2482, 054 total differential, and 17 intermediate differential before drilling. After you drill into it, you can get a max flip layout to give you total differential numbers of 068 and a whopping intermediate differential number of 034 if you choose the max flip layout. All three of these cores start with medium RG high differential and medium intermediate differential before drilling. But after drilling, this one has the highest numbers and the largest range of the three. If you choose a weaker layout, such as the pin down layout D on the Radical drill sheet, you can use a weaker 044 total differential and 014 intermediate differential to give you a smoother, more sweeping back-end motion. With this Outer Limits core, we had a more bulb-shaped upper body with a neck that connected to the lower boat. With the hitter core, we evolved it into more of a conical shape with this hourglass-shaped cross-section. We've left it here in this Torpedo core, but what we've done is we've changed the upper body to be more of an ellipse. If I tip these two cores down and we look at them from the top, you'll notice that this is a very circular design. This is more reminiscent of a more continuous shape that you might see out of a more symmetrical motion. Here, we've squeezed the mass in the max direction and elongated it in the intermediate direction. This gives you more asymmetry before drilling, and it also gives you more moment arms for moment of inertia on the outer edges of this core. This design language was continued into the bottom boat of both of these cores. You'll notice that with this boat, we have also narrowed up the bottom boat, and we've made it longer in this intermediate direction. This is adding asymmetry, but it's also adding instability to this core when it's on its initial PAP axis when the bowler first releases it. What that does is it adds instability to the core right off your hand. It helps it maintain axis rotation initially, but then it helps the ball unload axis rotation down lane at the breakpoint. What that's going to do is give you cleaner motion through the front of the lane and then a more explosive late mid-lane read for a sharp and strong down lane motion relative to these other two cores. That's all the information I have on this brand new Torpedo core and how it relates to the lineage of the previous cores in the asymmetrical radical lineup. Be sure to check out Steve Freshour on the Perception vs. Reality podcast on the Radical Facebook and YouTube page. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and YouTube for more information about all the Radical balls. And until next time, we'll see you on the next Radical Rundown.